is cold here in Australia, and I've been out for 4 or 5 nights just shooting Jupiter because Jupiter is in the news right now. Not only is there this cloud clearing event, which is really cool, and it only happens once every 12 years as far as we can tell. We're seeing the equator clearing up, so it's browner. If you compare your photos of Jupiter from this year and last year, you'll notice the difference. It's quite stark. Now, I've been following Christopher Go on his Facebook. If you don't follow him there, that's probably the best way to check what's going on with Jupiter, because he's always out with his 14-inch Celestron taking amazing shots, and he's one of the best planetary images out there. But the other thing that we've seen is, of course, Wesley in Western Australia. I believe he was the first to notice that there was a flake coming off the Great Red Spot. Now this flake sort of got sheared off and got whipped off into the equatorial belt. But I think it's happening again, and another flake has come off and has also been whipped into the equatorial belt. So is this the critical mass that we're seeing, where the Great Red Spot has shrunk and shrunk over the last 400 years to a point where it will no longer be able to maintain its stability and eventually just be sliced and diced into those equatorial belts and disappear? You'll notice with the other little storms, they sort of roll across through the belts like they're being rotated, and it looks like the Great Red Spot is going to succumb to the fate of these smaller storms too, and eventually be whipped around into nothing. So I've been freezing my off every night trying to take a photo, but I don't have a 14-inch like Christopher Go, so I have to make do with my Celestron 9¼ inch. But 9¼ 11, and if you can afford it, the 14, they are pretty killer planetary rigs. That said, I just don't get the detail that we can see from the 14-inch scopes. So when you want to compensate for that lack of equipment, a good little trick is to animate it, because if you see an animation, it's sort of a bit of a novelty, and it will draw attention away from the fact that you have size issues. My name is Dylan O'Donnell, and you're watching Star Stuff. Oh, no beer, no money. This video is sponsored by Bintel. Bintel are the largest Australian telescope shop. Basically, they sell everything astronomy related, and I've been using them for years and years. Even before I had a relationship with them, I do work for them as well now. But even before then, I was using Bintel to get what I needed because they have such a great range, and their website works really well. I don't know who made their website, but it's just freaking amazing. So go check out the Bintel website at www.bintel.com.au. New subscriber. So the first step in taking a Jupiter animation is, well, go outside and set everything up, and then you'll notice that the clouds come over pretty much straight away. That's just God's sixth sense of humour, and that's probably because you're an atheist. When you eventually get a clear spot and you've got Jupiter in your crosshairs, make sure you crop that region of interest around the planet, start grabbing your video frames, and in fire capture I like to make sure I'm using the auto align function. Jupiter, or whatever you're trying to animate, will be dead center in all the video frames. You can use an after processing program like PPIP. Personally, I think that stands for pain in the posterior, because you can just do this in fire capture and then it will be aligned, and then you don't have to really realign it in post. Once you've got all your frames, you then of course merge all your frames if you're doing them in mono, so that you end up with a series of frames. And you want to make sure that when you're compiling them, you don't get them out of order. So I have them nicely numbered from 1 through to 10, or however many frames you end up getting. Once you've got your frames, then we jump into Photoshop. Okay, so animations in Photoshop are pretty easy. It's layer based. So we've got our background layer here. Let's make a new layer, another layer. So we've got 3 layers in total. Now we'll draw something. That frame, that frame, that frame, that frame. Now say we want to animate. So we click this create video timeline. In this case, I want to make these much shorter. So I'll just make it a very quick animation. I'll just pull one out there. Now if I drag the slider, you see it alternates between them. And if I hit the play button, it's just alternating between these 2 images. So essentially we're going to do the same thing for our video frames. So now I've opened all the video frames in their sequential. So as I click through, they go through the frames. So here on this first one, I'll just create video timeline, and I'm going to shrink this down because we want it to be a short animation, and if that's too small to see, you can drag this out this way. So that's our first frame, so I'm just going to go in here and copy and paste the next frame into here as a layer. Bam, pull the length of that next one down, and we've already got the animation started. And essentially now I just repeat the process for all the other frames. Now I've got all the frames in, so I can just adjust them to all be the same length. Now as we drag the slider, it goes through our animation. Perfect. Now I like it to go forwards and then backwards, so I usually just copy the layer here. Then we've got another stack of copied layers, and I can have them go down the other way. So now we're going forwards and backwards. And at this point you can export your animation. Change to GIF. You might want to play around with the compression settings so you don't really muck up, because the compression here gets really bad. So have a play around with these settings and make sure you get the best possible quality. And well, that's about it. I will leave some images here of people who have tagged me in their astronomy photos. Thank you for tagging me. I love seeing your work, and it's encouraging to know that my videos help anyone at all. Be sure to check out Bintel, of course, www.bintel.com.au if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and need some astronomy equipment. They are a great team. What else can I say? Thanks for all the support on the last video about Elon Musk. It was a bit of a dumpster fire in the comments. Of course, all the Elon fanboys thought I was too hard, and all the people who were astronomers thought it was too soft, but I thought it was fair. But it got way more views than I normally get on any other video, which was amazing. So thank you to all the new subscribers. This isn't an Elon or SpaceX bashing channel. This is just an astronomy channel. So I will keep bringing you astronomy news, and I'll keep bringing you astronomy related videos to help you photograph the sky. Thanks very much, and remember, everything is meaningless and we're all going to die.